Welcome to our city council meeting. We're happy to have everyone here. All council members are present and our mayor. Thank you for being here. We have no, let's see, excuse me. We're going to do our Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked our Murray School District Board member, Glo Merrill, if she would lead us in that. Thank you, Glo.
Audience, please arise. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Glo. Next on is our council meeting minutes from January 7th, 2020. Do we have any corrections or questions or a motion?
I'll move they be accepted.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, next we have a special recognition, Murray City Council Employee of the Month. Chris, say it for me, Chris. I knew that. Okay. That's what I was going to say. Our senior civil engineer, and Danny Astle and I will present that. Thanks. Take this. That'd have been good, huh? We started this program about 6-7 years ago where we recognize employees, and it has been a wonderful thing for our city to be able to recognize how wonderful our employees are and their dedication. And Chris is one of them. And Chris, you've been with the city 6-7 years?
Just short of 6.5.
6.5 years. See, we even count halves here. So he's been here 6.5 years, and Chris has been a wonderful employee. Very dedicated and friendly. We like it when Chris has always made himself real open to us as a council, so we appreciate that, and he's been a major asset for our city. So Chris, we'll go ahead and we're going to give you the certificate, and then we'll have your name back on that plaque, and then this is becoming more important than anything, this $50 gift card, I'm telling you. Now, does that go to you? Right now, it's not. You're not. Is someone else going to spend it or something? Or is that what you're saying? Okay.
He's going to spend it on something.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Well, Chris, we appreciate you as a council, all that you do for Murray City, and Danny's going to come up and say a little bit more. But from the council ourselves, we just wanted to show our appreciation. So thank you, Chris.
Yeah, it's not hurting anything. So initially, our engineer, our city engineer, wrote this, and so these are mostly his words and appreciation. I've got some additional things that I'd like to share. But so Chris has been employed with the city as a civil engineer with the Public Works Department for 6.5 years, as he said. Chris's primary responsibilities include project management, roadway and utility design, construction management and development reviews. He has successfully managed and designed the design and construction of several large-scale transportation and utility improvement projects, including the reconstruction of 5900 South and the resurfacing projects on 53rd South and also 6600 South. And most recently, as many of you know, as the project that's been going on between 9th East and 13th East on Vine Street. He's also managed design and construction of the very popular and hated to begin with, but the very popular Murray Canal Trail up off of Vine that offered, and those bike lanes that were there. And Chris excels in the construction field, where he works hand in hand with contractors to complete projects and in conformance with the city requirements, also minimizing impacts surrounding the residents and business. He always finds time to meet with the concerned residents as needed and finds positive solutions to address related issues and concerns. But just a few other things I'd like to share. So our city engineer really appreciates the day-to-day activities of Chris. He never worries about things that are going on out in the field. He always knows what's going on because Chris lets him know, but Chris generally takes care of things, and it's really great for him. He's become an integral part of our engineering division and was recently promoted as our senior civil engineer. Chris has overseen a number of multi-million-dollar projects with great success. He has gone as far as personally repairing sprinklers, planted grass and flowers, and cleaned up construction debris on several projects just to make sure that these small things are getting done for our residents as he sees that they need to be done to keep people happy. Chris has also been instrumental in the development of several grant applications. So as we talk about this evening, these TAP funds, UDOT funds, and federal aid agreements through for federal monies, Chris is a big part of that. Him alone, with him writing grants, has netted the city over $6 million between the county and the state and federal funds for transportation. Chris is well respected among public works agencies. He's an excellent engineer. He works with co-workers really good, provides amazing customer service to our residents. He's a true professional, and I really appreciate it. We're fortunate to have him in our midst. So, Chris, thank you.
Thank you, Danny.
So I'm going to let him take a minute, but he can introduce who he brought with him. So go ahead.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Council. I really appreciate this honor, and thank you to my girlfriend Julie, who has arrived here today, and Sam and Trey being the city engineer himself, for coming. I just wanted to say a few words here, and one, thank you again for this honor. I also want to express my gratitude to the council, the mayor's office, and the residents of Murray for the privilege it's been to work for the city. It's been, I work hard because of the pride I feel working for you. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. But ultimately, I want to thank the people I see day to day, Sam and Danny, and my boss Trey, as well as Brandon Richards and Jess Lim and Mike Pfeiffer, who work for our office, as well as all the other hardworking people in Public Works. So thank you all for this honor and for the privilege to work with you all, and keep working here. Thank you.
Chris. Come back. I just wanted to thank you for always being available when I have questions about what's going on with Vine Street or what's going on with the Canal Trail, which, by the way, has been so well received. And so you're an awesome employee, and we really do appreciate you, and stay that way. You really are so helpful and so willing to listen to all my stuff. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Chris, Trey, you guys can stay as long as you want, or you can go, whatever. But I wanted to ask, first of all, GL, and then I'll ask the council's approval. GL, we have a crowd here, and we've got a lot of things with Dustin Matsumori's confirmation and a public hearing. Could we do those first and then have the citizen comments right before the business item?
If you'd like to do that, you can.
Council, would you object to that?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. I just thought I don't want to overlook the other things first, and then we do that. So thank you very much.
We have a crowd for them. So
What's that?
we have a crowd for them.
We do have. That's right. Okay, so we're gonna thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, so we'll move on then to the consent agenda, And that's to consider approval of the mayor's appointment of Dustin Matsumori to the Murray City Ethics Commission for a 3-year term beginning February 2020 through January 2023. Doesn't that sound like into the future, 2023? Mayor Camp presenting.
It is, Mr. Chair. It's 3 years into the future.
Thanks.
Thank you for considering this appointment. Many of you probably know Dustin, and we continue to attract great talent of individuals who are willing to serve on our boards. And Dustin is willing to do this. If you look at his resume, it's very impressive, and he's also very busy. So we appreciate him being able to take the time to be part of our ethics commission. This is a term I believe was vacated by Donetta Mitchell. Her term ended. So, but Dustin is here somewhere.
Right in the back.
Oh, will you stand, Dustin, and be recognized? Of course, the Matsumori family is very prominent, and it's been very prominent in Murray, and we're so grateful for you to continue the tradition of service, Dustin. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, let's get a motion on that.
I move to appoint Dustin Matsumori to the Murray City Ethics Commission for a 3-year term.
I'll second.
All in favor? Oh, no, Jennifer, sorry. Jennifer shakes her head.
Aye.
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 I am happy to say yes, absolutely. Thank you. All right, Dustin, we appreciate all you do. Really, Dustin has been an integral part of Murray for a lot of years and helped me probably 8 years ago make one of my biggest decisions when working here. So thank you, Dustin. Appreciate you and your family. Okay, next we'll move on to our public hearing. Right? Okay. So we've got consider an ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2019-2020 budget. Brenda Moore. Thanks, Brenda, for being here.
Okay, this is a very short, relatively short budget amendment. We have 4 items on it. In addition to the normal audit, our auditor prepared our financial statement because I am new enough at this. That was my very first one. So we need to move budget from our non-departmental over into the council budget, who pays for the financial statement of $4,500. Our firefighters went to California and are being reimbursed $61,641. So we need to open the budget so we can receive that money and then allocate it to their overtime, Social Security, travel, and some of it remaining will go to the city for use of the equipment, which will probably end up in reserves, and then we will buy new fire equipment with it in the future. We received $74,108 from the State Division of Alcoholic Beverage Enforcement, the liquor tax, for use on alcohol and drug-related enforcement expenses. I'm requesting that we increase the police department's budget by that $74,108 so they can buy equipment. And I believe the chief has already said they're going to spend it on mostly body cameras or storage for body camera film or whatever storage space. And then our last one is the storm water system, the Utah Storm Drain Project, for various reasons, came in over budget, and so we're requesting the additional amount of $294,000 be taken out of reserves for the stormwater to complete that project. So those are the 4 items on this amendment for the 2019-2020 budget. Is there any questions?
Any questions for Brenda? Okay, Brenda, you've done a great job, and you've kept us abreast on all this, so we appreciate it. We really do.
Yes, we do.
We appreciate it. Okay,
Thanks, Brenda.
we'll ask for a motion. Oh, no, let me open it up for public hearing. Sorry, my bad. Public hearing. This is only for this. This is for the opening of the city, of the fiscal budget. So would anyone like to get up and speak about this public hearing only? Okay, we'll close that part, and we will bring it back to the council for discussion or a motion.
I'll motion to consider an ordinance amending the city fiscal year 2019 to 2020 budget.
Okay, we have a motion to approve that. We have a second?
I'll second.
Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now we're coming to the business items, and this is where we moved for citizen comments. So this is where our citizen comments will begin, and there's not going to be an opportunity to go back. So if you're here for any of the 4 business items, then we're going to ask you to come up here to the mic, and if you please address the council. We're the ones that are going to be voting on the issue, so if you please address the council on your questions or your statements or concerns or whatever you have on that. And then there's 3 minutes, and there's forms to fill out, and Jan will have you can do it after, or you can do it before, whatever is your preference. And then when you come up to the mic, just please state your name and your city, and we just ask. It's 3 minutes. Goes fast. Goes really fast. And if you'd be very respectful to each other. Murray's always been a lucky, blessed city that we have great citizens that are very respectful. So we appreciate that. So we will open it up for citizen comments, please.
Hello, I'm Bryant Larson. Do we no longer need to give our address? Do we
This
say
is the city.
I am a Murray City citizen. I am here to speak in opposition to Murray City creating a non-binding ERA statement. I disapprove of its content. None of what it says, in my opinion, is relevant to the United States of America anymore. And I am a little suspicious of the nature of why Murray City is even considering 50-year-old legislation. I personally feel that our city council is being used by outside forces to push an agenda, and I feel that this first proposed action by our newly elected councilwoman gives us insight into who she plans to represent over the next 4 years. I feel that her allegiance is to Planned Parenthood and other liberal organizations who funded her campaign, and not to me, my wife, and my children. Most of those, 3 of whom identify as female, or my mother, all of whom live in Murray, and many others who have shared their disdain for the ERA itself. I would like to ask my councilwoman to retract this proposal, if not for me, for the wonderful, unique women in my life. Anyone who thinks we should treat women exactly the same as we treat men has never met such divinely unique and wonderful people as the women I adore in my family. Even the men who stood by on the Titanic as women and children were given priority during the evacuation recognized that there's a great deal of difference between the sexes. What a shame it would have been if the rule was every human for theirself. That's what I wrote down, and I'll include it if you would like it on the piece of paper. I wrote that, and I really do strongly feel that it's no longer needed to enforce stuff that says that we are equal. I mean, look at our city council. We now have a majority female, and you guys were elected by the citizens of Murray. You enjoy the victory of that, and we celebrated that. We wrote about that in the Murray Journal, how wonderful that was. I am not opposed. I mean, it's fantastic. But I feel like if you guys pass the ERA, you're kind of saying we no longer want to celebrate the difference between man and woman, so we would no longer write an article the next time a city has a female majority. It's like we were the first ones to do it, and now we want to make sure we don't celebrate stuff like that. I see that the two sexes are different, divinely so, and I don't think that it's fair to suggest that they are equal by law. If we see discrimination, let's get together and fight it, definitely. But not with legislation that was proposed, I think 50 years ago that it was originally done, If it wasn't ratified in 7
40.
years, that was supposed to no longer be ready to go. So anyway, thank you very much for hearing my words. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Susan Radke. I'm a citizen of Murray. And thank you very much for your comments. I would like to say that I am very much in support of the ERA, and I have been since 1972 when I was in high school and it was first proposed. The ERA states,
No, you're good. You're good. Sorry.
equality of rights shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. It's 23 words, and that is all it is saying. I want myself, my daughter, my granddaughter, and my grandson to all have equality of rights under the law, regardless of sex. I was a single mother. I raised my daughter alone. Equality of pay would have meant a great deal in my life. That is what I want for future generations and for this generation. So again, I strongly support and I appreciate the council's support of the ERA. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Robin Huff. That's spelled Hough, just for the record. Nobody ever gets that right. And although I'm not a citizen of Holiday, I am a property owner in Holiday. So
Murray.
I'm sorry. So Murray is very special to my heart. I live in Holiday, but I'm a property owner in Murray. So Murray is very close to my heart. And I want to start by saying, if the Equal Rights Amendment is going to be so bad, why was it included by the founders of the Utah Constitution? Article 4 of the Utah Constitution, laid down by our founders, states, the rights of citizens of the United States to vote and hold office shall not be denied or abridged on account of sex. Both male and female citizens of the state shall enjoy equality, all civil, political, religious rights and privileges. This has been part of the Utah Constitution since the very beginning, since 1896. If bad things were going to happen in Utah, because we had equality of men and women, equality for all, civil rights for all, if that was going to be so bad, why was it included in the Utah Constitution? In fact, Alice Paul, who wrote the Equal Rights Amendment in like 1924, came to Utah and used the words of the Utah Constitution in the Equal Rights Amendment. Both male and female students of this state shall enjoy equally all civil, political, and religious rights and privileges, and those will not be denied or abridged on account of sex. That's what it says in the Utah Constitution. So Murray City, I ask you to do nothing more than affirm what is in the Utah Constitution already. If bad things were going to happen, they would have already happened here in Utah, because we have had this as part of the texture of being a Utahn since 1896. I urge you to do this. I urge you to approve this for all of the citizens in Holiday, for all of the citizens in Utah, to stand forward and be proud. Be proud of standing up for equality for all. It's the Equal Rights Amendment. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. It's the first thing that we all learned. I don't care what your religion is. We all learned that as a basic tenet of fairness for all. I urge you to support this resolution. Thank you.
Next.
My name is Carolyn Williams. I live on Atwood Boulevard, so I am a resident, and I am here in support of this resolution for the ERA. And I urge you to consider it and to approve it. I have 4 daughters who are also wonderful intricate, magnificent women and mothers and wonderful employees, and have contributed to our state of Utah through their work efforts and their volunteer efforts. And I have 2 little granddaughters who I want to guarantee that they will always be treated rightly, equally, and fairly. I urge your support on this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next. You might have to ask. Come on up.
Yeah, let me go first because I have to go to the Murray City Arts meeting. I'm on the Murray City Arts Board. I live in District 3, and my name is Clark Bullen, and I live Trailwood just right across the ballpark there. And, you know, I can see why Murray City would want to support equal rights. And I think I see the intent, and that is noble. But I do feel like there's a lot of unintended consequences of wording that is vague. And that I think that is the worrisome factor here, is that what you want to do. I mean, I think having a resolution for equal pay, that Murray supports equal pay, is great. I think a resolution that Murray supports the Utah Constitution, or that specific part, that's great. I mean, let's do that. But I think unintended consequences like women in the military draft, women's sports, mothers in custody cases, single mother taxation, welfare for mothers, women's shelters, women's restrooms and locker rooms. I just feel like I'm not sure Murray is ready to swallow all of that in its entirety. But resolutions for equal rights, let's do that, but let's not be so vague about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Sir, we need to get your form filled out real quick. Sorry.
Thank you so much for allowing me a little bit of time to speak to you today. My name is Carolina Sageman Allen, and I am the founder and one of the directors of the Maternal Feminist, the international maternal feminist organization called Big Ocean Women. And we represent perspectives of faith, family, and motherhood at all levels of civil society. And so this is very much an important discussion to have today. The reason why I'm here, and the reason why I am opposed to the ERA, is very simple. This legislation is very, very old, and the context in which it was first inspired has drastically changed today. We live in a world where certain language that was kind of taken for, where there was a very broad kind of general understanding and consensus back in the day, even back in 1972, the notion of woman was really solidified. And the notion of sex was really solidified. Today, in our gender identity politics, and we're seeing a really massive overhaul of what that language means. And so I do want to echo, in the words that others have said today, that it is quite vague. And we don't have kind of a general understanding and consensus of what it means to be a woman today, and what sex means and what gender means. The kinds of things I'm seeing in my international nonprofit are really alarming. We are seeing in places where they have taken on this type of legislation, codified it in their constitutions, we are seeing the counter. It's extremely counterproductive to women. We're seeing extreme cases where women in prisons are being allowed to have male inmates, biological male inmates, who simply because they feel as though they are women are then allowed into the prisons and have assaulted women. Women nonprofits like mine who very much are working to do so much good for women all over the world, related to sex-based violence, related to opportunities for work and school and all of these different things. Where we're seeing nonprofits being shut down simply because they aren't catering to gender-neutral language. And just in various, all across the board, we're seeing actual adverse effects happening to women. So the very group that we're all here cheering and hurraying for and wanting, I have 4 daughters. I want the very best for them, and I'm a female athlete. I have a lot of things that I am doing, in particular in my home and in my community and in my nonprofit, to support women. But I'm not in favor of the ERA, and I ask that you really reconsider and maybe look a few steps down the road of what this could really imply to women in Utah. Thank you.
Thank you. Murray, you were in Murray? You're in Murray? Provo. Thank you very much.
Well, Pam Cotter, Murray citizen. First thing, ERA calendar press release. Murray, all-female city council. Brett, Dale, I didn't know you were female. Wow. Press release. Anyways, good evening, council members, mayor. It's good to see you all. I'm here to speak about the ERA non-binding resolution that's been brought up by Ms. Martinez tonight. Let me take you back to 1971. Some of you were not even born yet, or you were just little ones. I was living in upstate New York at the time. We were called as a group of women to go to Albany, New York, to have our voices heard. I did just that. Now, here I am again, 49 years later, and I have some cases during that time frame. Coleman versus Maryland. The court in this case held that a husband could no longer be required to support his wife. Newspaper reports of the case termed the ruling unfortunate, but admitted that the court had no choice under the state Equal Rights Amendment. Conway versus Dana. This case exempt a father from providing primary support for his minor children. Albert Einstein Medical Center versus Nathan. The trial court in this case nullified a husband's legal responsibility to pay for his wife's hospital, medical bills, or any necessities as previously required by law. Next, Commonwealth versus PA Interscholastic Athletic Association. The court in this case ruled that under the absolute mandate of the state equal right amendments, all school sports must be integrated, including wrestling and football, regardless of sex. That means that students may no longer be excluded solely on the basis of their sex. They may be included, however, because of lack of individual ability. Let me continue. I know this is a non-binding resolution, but the mere fact that this is being discussed worries me. I have some concerns, as I did those many years ago. What will be the impact of this non-binding resolution on the residents of Murray? I think we need this to be tabled so all residents can know about this, not just through the agenda that was posted on the Murray City website. The citizens of Murray should have the opportunity to vote on this non-binding resolution. You represent all of us. And we don't think like each other of us. We have our opinions. Please hear us. Give us time to look at the resolution, ask questions. This non-binding resolution should be on the ballot. Let us not be in haste to put this through so Ms. Kwan can have something to bring to the legislative session in February. If this passes tonight, it will be a black mark on Murray. Tonight, you will all be saying, Murray residents agree with you this. With this, that said, let the record be known that I do not, as a resident of Murray, agree with this passing of the non-binding resolution.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Okay, I'm Catherine Larson. I live here in Murray, have for 10 years. My husband was born and raised here in Murray, and we raise our 4 children here. It's a great place. So we have this newly elected majority female women's city council, and I don't know. I guess we're oppressed still, and we need some equal rights. I'm not sure how that works, even though our city council women beat out men in their races, but we're still very oppressed. So my feeling is this equal rights amendment has nothing to do with that at all, and it has to do with abortion, and it has to do with abortion and the funding. And let's be respectful. So, if passed, this equal rights amendment could be used to guarantee unrestricted taxpayer-funded abortion. If you want examples of that being used for that, I can give you examples. Coincidentally, 2 of our elected city council members are Planned Parenthood endorsed, financially supported, and Planned Parenthood is the leader in the abortion industry. And they would stand to benefit enormously if this constitutional amendment was passed. I don't support the ERA. I do not support Planned Parenthood. And I don't feel that our city council should be using its time to push people's political agenda. So thank you.
Thank you. Next.
And I understand that I have 5 minutes because I represent an
Yes,
organization.
are you Susan Roylance? Yes, Susan.
My name is Susan Roylance. I represent United Families International. I am a Murray citizen, have been for 41 years actually. In 1975, our family moved to Washington State. The state had passed a state ERA and laws had been changed to eliminate words related to sex, which is just exactly what this ERA would do. The words mother and father had been changed to parent. Husband and wife had been changed to spouse. Family law was completely altered. I was very concerned with the potential of a federal ERA and became involved nationally. By the way, I helped to defeat it back in 1938. Anyway, I discovered that the main promoters of the ERA were the pro-abortionists, and that is true. Last year, NARAL, the National Abortion Rights Action League, sent out an alert stating the ERA will reinforce the constitutional right to an abortion. It would require judges to strike down any anti-abortion laws. And we have some good laws related to abortion in the state of Utah. Does Murray City Council want to go on record as promoting abortion? Another huge problem with the ERA is the potential definition of the word sex. I am involved with international policy at the UN, where gender is considered to be socially constructed, and most references to women are being replaced with non-binary words. Women, as women, are unique in their ability to bear children, and they should be protected. Does Murray City Council want to go on record as opposing laws and medical guidelines that give special protections to women as women? The ERA could also affect any organization with a specific focus on activities for girls or boys or men or women. All of that is erased with the ERA because you can't talk about specific sex. This could include churches with a male priesthood, like the Catholic Church and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The tax-exempt status of these organizations could be in jeopardy. Now, this is true. This could also impact tax-exempt contributions. Does the Murray City Council want to go on record to promote the elimination of tax exemptions for church donations? Most people cite the rights of women in the workplace as a reason for the ERA. In fact, in many cases, women are already given a priority through affirmative action programs. The ERA would give men an even playing field. Interesting, my son has worked for a national company and has seen over the years that he has never seen a woman fired, in especially in administrative positions. He's seen many men fired. He feels that it's not equal in the workplace. Women would lose special considerations if the ERA was passed. They would be reduced to equality with men. So does the Murray City Council want to go on record as opposing programs that give special consideration to women? Passage of the ERA would open the floodgates of lawsuits, both men and women, to change laws throughout the United States. Is this what the Murray City Council wants to support? And by the way, Article 4 of the Utah Constitution was brought up. It is vastly different than the national amendment being proposed. It says both male and female citizens of this state, male and female, it mentions the fact that we're different, should have all civil, political, and religious rights and privileges. I urge you to table this. It really won't make an ounce of difference. I know that there was a big push in Utah to become the 38th state to ratify. Number one, the U.S. Supreme Court said the issue is dead. The ratification deadline has passed. I know there's a bill before Congress right now trying to say that they can open it up. U.S. Supreme Court has said that is not possible. Even Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who you have her picture over here, has said she would like to see it opened up to a new ERA to begin the process again because it is dead. So why is Utah doing this? They wanted to be the 38th state. The 38th state was Virginia, but the last 3 don't count, and 4 states have rescinded. So really, this is an unnecessary, inappropriate thing to even promote, and I urge you to table it. Let it go. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, wait, let's hold our applause, please. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Well, I'm here for a friend who is a Murray citizen. I'm Rhonda Hare. I live in South Jordan, and I'm with a group called Gathering Families. We're also part of the Empowered Families Coalition in Utah. And Laureen Simper, who's my dear friend, lives up here just off of
my district. Yeah.
Okay, she's in your district. Good. Anyway, she prepared a statement, and she wasn't able to come quite this early. She's hoping to get here later, but wanted to make sure that she got her piece said. So this is from Laureen.
3 minutes, right? Laureen Simper. Tell us your name.
My name is Rhonda Hare.
Okay.
Rhonda with an H, hair like on your head.
Okay. That's not nice.
As applies to
Just
most
kidding.
people.
I take it. I thought I'd said that before Dale said that. So anyway, please go ahead. 3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Laureen's letter is, my name is Laureen Simper. I'm a native and nearly lifetime resident of Murray City. I'm writing in opposition to Murray City passing a resolution to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment for 3 reasons. First, the amendment's provisions give me pause as to its desired outcomes of equality. For over 40 years, proponents of the ERA have claimed there are rights for women not protected by law. However, this amendment gives more teeth to the state, making men and women the same rather than equal. Equal doesn't equal the same. There are inherent physical and psychological differences between men and women, which must be dismissed as irrelevant if this amendment is ratified, to the peril of women. It isn't right to tell a woman that she must register for the draft or must serve in the military beside men, with no recognized distinctions of these physical and psychological differences, simply because they must register for the draft, because men must. It isn't right in a Me Too world to tell a woman seeking shelter from an abusive relationship that she can't have the refuge of an all-women shelter, because men are entitled to it too. Second, I don't want the right for a woman to kill her unborn child codified into constitutional law, which Susan mentioned. NARAL has come out saying this is what would happen with the language. They're much in favor of it. I'm much opposed. So is Laureen. It should give Murray residents serious pause that some of you sit on this council thanks to thousands of donated dollars coming from Planned Parenthood. As abortion is the #1 moneymaker for Planned Parenthood, it should be obvious that their stake in the passage of this amendment, or resolution, has nothing to do with equal rights. Rather, its passage gives Planned Parenthood constant access to funds for abortion, a brutal procedure which was originally touted as needing to only be safe and rare. Passage of this amendment would ensure that recent state laws to protect the unborn become obsolete. Finally, I oppose this resolution for its very nature and purpose. I have seen the resolution strategy used globally at the recent United Nations conference held in Salt Lake City, locally on the Salt Lake County level, and now this attempt at our city level, to create a false sense of consensus and peer pressure. I was there with her at UN. I saw it too. At the United Nations, there was strong opposition, and not by a small minority, to the outcome document generated at the Salt Lake City conference. The resolution process leaves no room for dissenting voices, and the resulting documents and resolutions go forward as a means to pressure legislative bodies
30 seconds.
to pass laws they have no business passing. I see these as the same kind of tired tactics as a junior high bully, which Laureen was a junior high teacher for a long time, or Mean Kids Club. They create a culture of community peer pressure, where the only goal is that of tyrannical sameness. For these reasons, I urge this council to vote against the passage of such a meaningless resolution that cannot represent all of its citizens. Murray City has needs and priorities far more important than a motion that merely attempts to pressure the legislature into doing something it has no business doing in the first place.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Hi, I'm Kim Landine. I also work for the nonprofit Big Ocean. I'm on their global committee. And my primary focus is...
Tell me your name.
Kim Landine.
Sorry. Thanks, Kim.
So my primary focus is on the
Tell us,
international
Diane,
stage.
ask where you're from. I apologize for interrupting again.
No, please. Brett, real quick, just because you brought up the hair situation. My father also has a very similar haircut to you. And he's always said that heaven will not be heaven unless he has an afro. So
there you go.
still hope there. But I am from Pleasant Grove. But my focus mainly, as I was saying, is on the international community.
Okay.
And I see the ERA play out on a national level, and I wrote down all the statistics that have been shared. But as I sit here and as I watch my daughter try to run up onto the stand that you guys are sitting on, you guys are up there because you guys have been privileged to represent us as citizens. You guys have that responsibility to make the choices of what matters and what we value. And I have seen countries, and I talk with women that are the equal among men. They are pulled out of their homes saying, we need you equally within the workforce. They lose their ability to want to be mothers, to be mothers. That's not equal. We are not equal. And I will go on record very clearly, we are not equal. I was sitting down in Ecuador a few years ago at the Habitat Conference for the United Nations after listening to this whole conversation about gender inequality and violence against women. And I remember sitting there laying on the ground in Ecuador looking up and thinking, because of my biology, I am vulnerable. My ability to give birth makes me vulnerable. My physiological person makes me vulnerable. And I applaud every single woman that wants equality and protection for women. But once again, we are not the same. We are not equal in that sense. I remember in one of the conferences in the UN, they discussed this symbiotic relationship between mother and child and mother and father and family. And they put this picture on the screen of this mother holding this child, and it was kind of just over the child. And around this mother, these strong arms of the father wrapping around and protecting this family unit. That ceases to exist when the ERA is written into law. And I applaud Murray for wanting to represent Utah and to take the forefront. Total activists, all for going out in the forefront and willing to fight the battles. But this is not the battle that Utah wants to face. Why are we going back to legislation that was written 98 years ago? 1922. We are not the same as we were in 1922. Why do women believe that we do not have the gumption or the fortitude to write our own piece of legislation right now? Why are we pushing this agenda? It makes no sense to me, unless it's just that. It's an agenda. It's not about equality. If it was about equality, they would give the vote, they would give the voice right now to the women that sit in this room. We have the ability to write legislation that on its own merits could go through Congress and could be ratified by 38 states that would protect women, that would protect children, that would allow my little girl to run up onto these same stands when she's older and make those laws. This will stop her from doing this. This will stop her from being able to speak her mind, be able to make the choices she wants to make. And I hope that Murray makes the decision not to do that. That they will pass this resolution and tell women in 2020 that we have the ability to write our own legislation. That's my ending note.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Marianne Christensen. I've lived in Murray for 25 years. I'm the house that's on the dog leg at the first green at Mick Riley Golf Course. So y'all know where I live.
I know where it is.
I also represent Citizens for Strong Families.
Would you say your name again? Sorry.
Marianne Christensen.
Okay. Thank you, Marianne.
I'm also the director of Citizens for Strong Families, which is a statewide organization that takes up all issues relating to the family. We support the things that keep the family strong, and we oppose things that will disintegrate the family, and we feel that the ERA is one of those things, so we vigorously oppose the ERA. The 14th Amendment and the Civil Rights Act of 1964 already protects equal rights based on sex. So the ERA, if people want to ratify it based on that argument, it's done already. It's not necessary. What the ERA will do instead, based on its vague language, is it will dissolve the distinctions between men and women. Now, many people up here have talked about what the likely outcomes will of that will be, and some even used court cases to prove what the outcomes will be. I'm not going to go through those in depth again, but I do want to remind you just with a bullet point list: military draft, women's sports, intimate spaces for women separate from men, abortion limits, gender roles, harm to women in divorce or child custody cases, making it harder for women to choose traditional roles, the rewriting of the tax law so that it does not give any benefit to women with children, and on and on and on. So we applaud the motives of the supporters of the resolution, but we also anticipate that it will bring restraints and repressions for women. Over the years, women have made huge inroads in gaining rights, in getting sports programs, and all of those will be undone by the passage of the ERA. Men and women are equally important. They should be protected equally under the law. That's an important phrase, equally under the law, based on sex. As I said, the 14th Amendment and the Civil Rights Act does that already. Protecting both sexes equally under the law does not mean that we cease to recognize biological, physiological, and emotional differences between men and women. Those need to be supported and preserved so that we can support and preserve our traditional families. I urge you to not pass this resolution today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Gail Ruzicka, and I am president of Utah Eagle Forum, which is a statewide organization. I do not live in Murray. I live down in Highland, and I came here today because of the organization that I represent. The name of Eagle Forum's original name, national name, was Stop ERA. I have a pin on today of this founder of Stop ERA that became Eagle Forum, and that's a woman by the name of Phyllis Schlafly. I would ask all of you to look her up and find out what she had to say and about the ERA, because she was the leader, and she is the one that brought this to the attention of so many people. I don't know who wrote this resolution, but I have to tell you, I like this resolution, at least the first page and a half, because it's written well, and it tells the history of Utah and what women in Utah have been able to accomplish. And it starts out with Utah's Equal Rights Amendment, if you want to call it that. It's beautifully written, and because of that, women have been able to accomplish more in Utah than just about any other state in the nation. Susan mentioned a bit of it about it. It says the rights of the citizen of the states of Utah to vote and hold office shall not be denied or abridged on the account of sex. And then it goes on to talk about the things that men and women can enjoy together. If you then look at what the Equal Rights Amendment that you're addressing today says, it says equal rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Now, why would we support that language when we have the right language in Utah, and it has worked in Utah? To say that men and women are exactly the same as this Equal Rights Amendment does that you're talking about today, the national one, would, as you've heard from so many people today, cause all kinds of consequences. The Equal Rights Amendment is not good for women. It hurts women. But Utah's Equal Rights Amendment is good for all people, men and women together. And what's so great about this resolution you have here and all your whereases, you point out all the good things that have happened to women in the state of Utah because we have the right amendment to make it happen. And as you go down this list, and it starts, back in 1896, and from that time forward, mentions all these women who have done so well in the state of Utah. I like things in here like right now, 5 out of the 9 institutions of higher education in the state of Utah have women as their presidents. 5 out of 9. It says that currently that the state superintendent is a woman, and she's a friend of mine, and I'm so glad she's a woman and that she has that. And I need to ask, do I have 5 minutes because I represent an organization?
No. Yes, Dale says yes.
Okay, I just wanted, I was timing it,
look
so I
at
wanted to
Dale.
make sure I didn't go over. And I just wanted, because I wanted to share with you about all these women who've done so well here in the state of Utah because we have the right amendment. And we don't want to replace this amendment with a federal one. Why would we give up our state's rights to the federal government by passing the Equal Rights Amendment? Because that would be what happened. You heard about some of the things that would happen today. And what about women in private spaces? Private spaces are so important. Women do not want to go to the gym and share showers with the men. I don't want to take my grandchildren to the swimming pool. When I get to the swimming pool with my grandchildren, the boys go through one side and the girls through the other side, and you walk through the dressing rooms. We can't get to the pool and swim without walking through the dressing rooms. And I can tell you, what I see in the women's dressing rooms, I don't want to take my little grandsons there to see that, and vice versa. But that's the kind of thing that would happen here. We need those private spaces. They are so important. And sports, men should not be able to play women's sports. We're fighting that battle all over the country right now. But these women in Utah that have done so well, like Becky Lockhart, who served as Speaker of the House here in the state of Utah, a woman. I was there through all those years with Becky. She did a marvelous job. Thank goodness we have our ERA here. We talked about right now the majority of judges in the state of Utah are women because of our ERA. Don't do this. Please don't encourage our legislature to give up our state's rights because our ERA will be replaced by the national if that becomes law. Let's keep our state's rights and let's not pass this resolution today. Please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
I'm Miranda. I'm a student at Westminster College. I'm speaking on behalf of Representative Kwan. I would respectfully like to add that she is not in need of anything to bring to the legislative session. There are over 1,100 bills being introduced for the 45-day session, and she is also personally working on obtaining affordable housing for seniors, and she's working on better accessibility to mental health care for first responders, and comprehensive background checks for individuals working in schools. So she does have her hands full, but she does want to send a message. Yeah, she's sorry she couldn't make it tonight. She's on a plane right now flying home after celebrating her husband's 50th birthday, but she asked me to read this. I would like to recognize and thank Murray's residents for voting in one of Utah's first female majority councils, and to thank the City Council for acknowledging the Equal Rights Amendment as a cause worthy of your attention. It is this inclusive, forward mindset that will ultimately set the bar higher for public service in Utah. We have a great early history of women's rights that many people, including Utahns, don't know about. Written in Utah's Constitution is the same notion of equality, the same inclusions and guarantees for women that the ERA would provide for in our federal constitution. We are living in an ERA world right now, and in Utah, and this is a diplomatic message to send. With that said, the ERA won't change anything in Utah or Murray because we already have these rights. There is no reason to fear, no reason not to ratify, but every reason to do it. ERA sends a message of support for future generations, for our daughters and sons, granddaughters, and grandsons and their grandchildren. It will let them know we were on the right side of history. I'm proud to live in one of the 25 states that guarantees equal rights, regardless of sex, and I'm proud of cities like Murray that lead out on supporting that grand gesture of love and respect now. Right now, for our stay-at-home moms, our female veterans currently serving Murray's Majority Council, and for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Say it again. She's in our. She represents Murray. Thank you. Thank you. Tell her thank you. Next.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Aaron Hildreth. I live here in Murray in District 1. There are a lot of people more qualified to talk than me, so I won't take too much time. I just want to say the amendment I'm a huge supporter of. I'm glad Murray's taken a stand. I don't understand the reason to table it. We've been talking about it for nearly a century. It's time to do. And I'm proud to live in a city where they'll stand up and do the right thing and it's made me a Murray citizen for life. Thank you.
Thank you. And next.
Hi, my name is Don Bates, and I actually live in Sandy, but I'm here representing my friend Stacy Thornton, who's been a lifelong member of the City of Murray. And this is her letter. I am strongly opposed to this resolution for more reasons than I have time in this meeting to explain. First of all, the accepted time limit for ratification of the ERA amendment has passed. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a more sympathetic justice to this cause than I, has said that the ratification deadline can't simply be legislated away. She said that those in favor of this amendment must start over. I do not believe that the majority of Americans, and especially the residents of Murray, are in favor of lawmakers disregarding different aspects of the law that no longer fit their agenda, only to force it upon those who have entrusted them with limited power. Next, Justice Ginsburg also said that 800 laws would change under the ERA. My question to those seeking to push this resolution, giving the appearance that all of Murray is in favor of it, is what are those 800 laws? I'm not interested in just a few of them. I'm interested to know if you can name all of them. In what way will they change? I would like to know the impact those changes will have on not just women, but men and children, and most importantly, what impact will these changes have on families, the most sustainable unit of society? Wouldn't it be wonderful if instead of pushing these resolutions, regulations, and laws that have wonderful sounding names that spark a feel-good vibe in everyone's heart, we first did an impact study on the consequences, both those intended and those unintended, before we signed, enforced, or passed them. The many feel-good laws and such that have been passed in the last 50 years have done little of what they claimed they would do, and have instead weakened both men, women, children, and families, thus drastically weakening our communities and nation. Those who understand human nature understand that rules and regulations that are passed in a growing secular society generally do more harm than good. The Equal Rights Amendment will be no different. In the end, it will harm both men and women, children, and families. I am opposed to the amount of legislative power that will be passed from the states to Congress, which creates an even greater imbalance of power to the federal government. Section 2 of the ERA requires that Congress be given the power to enact the provisions of the ERA. As a result, states would lose their legislative abilities in regards to family law, which could be marriage, divorce, alimony, custody, adoption, and property, sex crime laws, public and private schools, insurance, prison regulations, and any other areas of law impacted by gender. The purpose of the Constitution was to prevent the concentrating of power into one body, and that was for good reason. We should never desire an amendment that grants more power to the federal government. Thomas Jefferson warned that the generalizing and concentrating all cares and powers into one body has destroyed liberty and the rights of man in every government which has ever existed under the sun. I urge the members of this council to vote no on this resolution.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Ann Hunter, and I've lived here in Murray for just about 36 years. I'm an educator, a wife, and a mother of 9 children. And I'm here tonight to express my views against the Equal Rights Amendment. And perhaps the best way I can do this in the amount of time I have is just to read a portion of the letter that I wrote earlier to Representative Martinez, who is my councilman. I do support equal rights for all under the law, but there are problems with the ERA amendment. It is my understanding that it removes legislative powers from the state and transfers those to the federal government. Laws that address marriage, family, and issues between the sexes would be controlled by Congress, executed by the federal government, and interpreted by the federal courts. It does not allow exceptions to be made for women. It does not guarantee workplace accommodations for pregnant women or Social Security benefits based on a spouse's income for stay-at-home mothers. It is possible women could be stripped of financial protections in case of divorce and their special standing of wives, widows, and mothers ignored. Fathers may be relieved of the responsibility to financially provide for their children. Alimony and child support may not apply. The vagueness of the amendment's language would leave it open to interpretation. There are no guarantees women would not be forced into combat, or that abortion wouldn't be allowed on demand at every stage of pregnancy, or that men assisted by drugs and surgery could invade protected female space. I urge you to table this resolution. Please do not perpetrate discrimination and considerable harm to women by encouraging laws that do not benefit them. Or at the very least, take this issue to current voters citywide before you offer your support to the ERA amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, my name is Mary Taylor. I'm the president of Pro-Life Utah. I'm a South Jordan resident, but Pro-Life Utah is a statewide organization, and many of our members live here in Murray. Across the state and across the country, we see cities passing sanctuary city resolutions to protect the rights of unborn innocent babies. But here tonight, Murray considers a resolution that's anything but an equal rights amendment. To have equal rights, those rights must extend to everyone, including the most vulnerable members of our society, the unborn. And this ERA amendment puts the unborn at great risk. The ERA would put the horrific and brutal partial birth abortion, third trimester abortion, and tax-funded abortion on the table. As cities across the country show their compassion, the resolution that you consider today would reflect a callous disregard for life. And I believe that Murray is better than that. I urge you to vote no for this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next.
Got my own timer. So, my name's Adam Thompson. My wife is actually currently in labor right now. Hi, honey. I told you I'd make it quick. But that's how important it is for me to be here today. She's watching on the live stream. She said she'll call me if anything goes wrong. So, so I'm going to try a different approach. Everyone here will have a different opinion, whether you're a liberal or conservative. Or
Adam, would you mind addressing us up here?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
You're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
So everyone here is going to have a different opinion. So I want to discuss two things. I want to discuss the framing of the ERA, and I want to discuss the elephant in the room, which is why now? What's the motivation? Okay. So framing, first of all, it's currently framed like, why would you oppose equal rights? Are you just a bigot? Are you a ultra conservative? Are you a religious zealot? All these libelous things going around, but I don't think anyone in Utah opposes equal rights. I mean, that's something that we don't do. So I'm none of these things. I'm not an ultra conservative. I'm clearly not a bigot. My best friend here is a gay man, gay Swedish Mexican American who supports Trump, which is oddly weird. So there has to be a reason why people would oppose it, right? You'd think it's a different reason, right? So what if I told you that the ERA was actually opposed by both liberal and conservative groups? What if I told you that, for example, at the DNC in 1960, the ERA was rejected and opposed by the ACLU, labor unions such as American Federation of Teachers, Americans for Democratic Action, Nurses Association, National Council for Jewish, Catholic, and Negro Women. The list can go on and on and on. So I think it's unfair to frame it as people just are opposing equal rights. It doesn't make any sense to me. So the second question, the more explosive elephant in the room, is why now? What's going on? Well, I ran for city council recently, right? And the thing I promised on the website and everything, I said, I will always tell voters the truth, place service above self, and put Murray families first, regardless of consequences. Now, this statement might negatively impact my ability to serve on boards and committees, but I don't care. I'm not self-serving. So my question for the council, is there a grassroots effort within Murray? I don't think there is. This was never brought up one time during the election season. So is this activism or is this self-service? It seems more activism and self-service than it actually is public service. When I ran for the city council, I was pretty naive. I had never attended a single Democratic or Republican meeting ever in my life. I had no interest in that. So when I ran, so I went to a meeting, 20 seconds left. I went to a meeting in May. It was titled, So You Want to Run for Office, 2019 Municipal Election Edition. This was very clear when a lady named Wendy Garvin explicitly stated that I became an activist because of my transgender child. Wendy Garvin is an activist who helped coordinate Ms. Dominguez's campaign, donated to her campaign, told Ms. Dominguez that even if she didn't win, she could use this to run for a higher office. Others in attendance include, well, Miss Martinez, Miss Dominguez, Brooke D'Souza for City Council, and Sandy, Dustin Gettle, Midvale, Corey Thomas, South Salt Lake, Sophia Talshingi, Midvale, Josh Hill, another City Council member, Andrew Stoddard, State Rep, Shireen Gorbani, State Rep, Salt Lake Council, Elizabeth Payne wanted to go but couldn't. She's on the Murray City School Board. Joseph Silverwick, who is a communications director for Andrew Stoddard. So let me be clear. This is the last thing I'll say. What I'm suggesting, your city councils throughout the Wasatch Front are being taken over by outside influence. This was clearly pre-planned for it to be the first thing in your meeting agenda of this new year. So thank you. I got to get back to my wife.
Okay, next.
Good evening, council members, mayor. My name is Beverly Krangle, and I've been a Murray resident for about 40 some years. And I am opposed to giving up more rights. So many of our state rights have been taken over by federal, unintended, but nevertheless taken over. We send our income taxes to federal so they can pass them back with strings attached that have a lot of unintended consequences. And I do believe that this would harm our residents. I have two daughters. One is a stay-at-home mother. One has been voted into President's Club for a corporation that's located in Utah, but it's national, well, actually international. She's been voted President's Club twice the last 2 years. So they each have different goals in their lives and different places in their lives, and both have been very successful. So I don't know what rights would be gained and what time would be included to change the wording in all these laws that already have gender-specific names. I think we have better things to do than to spend time on this. I think we need to, a lot of our educational systems now, we have so many state core standards based on federal passed down, and many parents are saying, my kids aren't learning the regular math like they need to, and an engineer said, I would not hire one of these people if they don't know how to do regular math. So anyway, with that, I would urge you to table it or to totally defeat it, but I don't see one thing gained from my experience of many years. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Brett, don't hold it against me. I still have hair.
Okay, I won't.
My name is Jeff Collette. I'm a Murray resident. I just wanted to point out to you an article in the Deseret News Wednesday, November 20th. It's by Valerie Hudson, who claims and says that she is a dyed-in-the-wool feminist. And she's opposed to the ERA for a couple of reasons. She says she feels to raise an eyebrow and inquire how might this be gamed and who will get the short end of the stick when it is. Her first reason is she says, what does sex mean in the ERA amendment for 2019? She says, according to the proposed Equality Act, the word sex in every piece of federal legislation must be replaced with the phrase sex, including sexual orientation and gender identity. Her second reason is widely agreed that the ERA would make any future imposition of military draft impossible. She says that women already give their lives for this country in a way men do not. Why do we want to put them in the military? That's all I have. I point this out to you and refer you to it, but I just want to go on record opposing this resolution.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Carolyn Forsyth, and I am from here in Murray. I have 4 daughters. The oldest is 13, and the youngest is 5. And I was talking to them about this whole process of what I was going to come and do. And this is my first time being involved in this process. So I said, I'm going to go talk about the ERA. And they said, what's the ERA? And I said, it's Equal Rights Act. And I said it's between equal rights between men and women. They said, yeah, Mom, yeah, we want equal rights between men and women. And I said, this is what is in our Utah Constitution already. And I talked to them about that, and they said, yeah, that's good. And I said, this is what's going to happen if the ERA passes and if we have this resolution. And I talked about so many of the things that these people have been talking about today. And they said, Mom, why in the world would anybody want that? Why would that be beneficial? Why would it be positive? And they could see that. They're young. They don't want that. They don't want those types of things in their lives. They don't want to have to deal with the things that we've been talking about today. I don't want that for them either. I don't want it for me. I oppose, and I hope that you, like I said, I'm brand new, and so I don't know exactly the workings. I suspect you came with a set of ideas, and I don't quite know how it works as far as how you take the ideas that come to you and make a decision, even if it's different than the ideas that you came with. But it sounds to me like so many of the citizens that have talked today are opposed to this. And so as your constituents, it seems like this is the direction that we really want Murray to go, is to oppose this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is Kathy Ma'ulu'ulu, and I am from West Jordan, but I appreciate the opportunity to come and address you tonight, as there are some things in this conversation that I keep hearing that I don't think we're giving sufficient consideration before we make a decision. One is that the language. Whenever we pass really vague language, it always comes back with unintended consequences that typically do not benefit the people that you're trying to serve. The term men and women in our Utah State Constitution helps guarantee equal rights under the law. However, the Equal Rights Amendment, and in this resolution, does not say equality for men and women. It says based on sex. And in this day and age, we don't have a clear definition in 2020 as to what that definition actually is. There's all kinds of definitions, not even at the international UN level is there consensus on that term. The other issue is, I've heard it stated tonight that because of our Utah State Constitution, passing the Equal Rights Resolution won't change anything. But isn't that redundant if that's the case, and a waste of everybody's time and energy? Obviously, something is going to change, or we wouldn't put in the time and energy to either argue for or against it. The other issue is that according to the language of that resolution and the Equal Rights Amendment, we as a state would be forfeiting our state rights on anything that had to do with sex. It would be, that right would be abdicated to the federal government. And I know that nobody in Congress knows my family like the people of Utah know my family. And so I think that we really need to pause and really consider the unintended consequences that this particular language would heap upon everyone in our in the city of Murray and in the state of Utah if you were to move this resolution forward. And so I would encourage you each to reconsider and consider a no vote on this resolution. Thank you so much for your time and your service.
Thank you. Next.
Hi guys, my name's Jenna Strobel. I live in Murray. And I do want to make this really short, but I am concerned about the direction that implementing a ERA resolution from Murray City would be doing. For one, it's non-legal. It's non-binding. There's no legal ramifications by it. And by taking action on national issues like this, we're kind of using up the vital time that we elected the city council for. The city council is meant to discuss local issues, issues that reflect what we're dealing with in our city. We have the opportunity to speak about more of the international, national issues as we work with our legislators and as we work with others. But that's not the point of a city council. So, and I really think this, you five, are the ones that will pass this resolution or not. And it's deceiving to say that it's a resolution of the city when it's only coming from U5. And I really urge you to consider how many have spoken today, how many have spoken from Murray, and please digest what they are saying. Please recognize that if you're taking on this resolution and passing it, are you speaking for the ones that were able to take the time with this little a moment of citizen comments? There's nothing else that we're given to be able to help it with the consensus of the citizens for this resolution except for this citizen comments time. This is the only thing that we've been given, and then what we can send to you individually in that. So this resolution just doesn't jive. It doesn't feel like it reflects Murray to do a resolution when you're not able to, unless I can, and I mean, have you really noticed what people have been saying that are from Murray? And then the people that are from the state, I mean, come on, we're talking about a state national issue, so they have as much a right to talk about it too, because we have made it a non-local issue by bringing this up as a resolution in our council. So please think hard. I appreciate all your work. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
And I'm Glo Merrill, and I had no information about this until I saw Murray Citizens about 3:30 or 4 today. And as I was sitting here, I'm a school board member, and if I was sitting in one of the 5 chairs, we have 4 out of 5 school board members are women, and we would be talking about kids. We would be talking about school lunch. Should they eat lunch before or after recess? And I think this city council should be thinking about where are the potholes in the road? What's our new fire station looking like? Our water, I haven't seen a little water thing in a long time come to me about, does it have arsenic or something in our water? How about the park? How about if you're along the parkway, we have homeless people constantly. So the city council is for the citizens of Murray, not the citizens of the world or the nation or the state. I know Karen Kwan, and I will tell you, I've talked to her many times about education. She is a legislator. That's where this information should be tonight, is at the state. And then all of our citizens would be able to vote on this. Vote, not just to, within a few hours, no one even knows about this. And as a school board member, 100% of my time when I'm sitting in that chair is for the children, not for something else. So, and I know that I have friends up here, but that's just my 2 cents. And thank you.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Elizabeth Payne. I am a resident of Murray. I didn't prepare anything. I just wanted to come up and let you all know that I support the ERA resolution, and I am grateful that you have brought it up. I do think it represents me as a Murray citizen, and I hope you vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Welcome.
I came today mostly not planning to stand up and speak. I actually live in North Salt Lake, but I have Murray roots. My grandparents lived here in Murray.
Your name?
Throughout their lives. Kelly Whited Jones. The Whiteds lived in Murray, and my dad graduated from Murray High. And so I appreciate the chance to come and speak to you today. And I want to tell you just briefly, I do represent the Utah ERA Coalition, and I'm proud to do that. I've been involved with them just this year, and I came today dressed as a suffragette, a suffragist, and in part because I have seen an amazing overwhelming support for votes for women this year as we celebrate the 100th year for women to have the right to vote. So 3 years after women won that vote, the right to vote, Alice Paul, a suffragist, sat down and penned the words for the Equal Rights Amendment. 24 words. Those 24 words cannot be changed from when she submitted this amendment, but they are also reflected in our state constitution, as has been mentioned, from 1896. So why do we need it here in Utah? Why do we care about it here? If we already have an equality clause, I would like to say Utah women travel. Many of you travel, and how wonderful it would be to have these rights and privileges extended as we move from state to state. 25 states do have an equality clause, but many states do not. And so for consistency reasons, it's important for us to have the Equal Rights Amendment. What is the tangible benefit of the Equal Rights Amendment? What I can promise you, the tangible benefits are that when your daughter goes to court over an equal pay issue, her claim will be met with a different level of judicial scrutiny. So right now, if she goes to court, it's considered intermediate scrutiny. And in those cases, many women lose. They are forced to prove not only that they have been discriminated against, but that there was an intent to discriminate. Intent is a very high legal bar to cross. And so many women with a credible suit lose in the courts. What this offers, and the reason that Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg did support the Equal Rights Amendment and said that that is the amendment she would like to see happen in her lifetime, is because it would raise the bar when women go to court. So their court cases are then seen with strict scrutiny, the same scrutiny that is used in the 14th Amendment. Justice Scalia, one of the more conservative members, said that the 14th Amendment does not consistently cover the discrimination based on sex. And that's something that you can look up on your own. But he famously said it did not cover discrimination based on sex. So I will tell you that I'm here fighting for my 16-year-old daughter, that she will have the same rights that I have had. And in the last year, I have seen some of those rights walked back. If you're familiar with the Violence Against Women Act, you will know that it was defunded this year. The privileges and the rights that our daughters have at this moment can be walked back, watered down, and changed with one administration. That is why we need the Equal Rights Amendment. I urge you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, Council. My name is Alexander Teamsma. I'm a resident of Murray, District 1. What up?
What up? Please say what up.
This may be a little weird for everybody else in attendance. I did not come to speak regarding the ERA. I hope this will be an exercise in brevity, though I do not want to take away from the discussion that the majority are interested in. Last year, I came to the council asking that they consider legalizing short-term rentals, such as Airbnb and VRBO. I actually spoke with Councilmember Martinez regarding this when she was campaigning. She was kind enough to call me back. Yeah, and I just hope that with this new council, maybe the process of consideration can be expedited. Whether you vote one way or the other, I understand that is the will of the citizens, but let the record show that I am in favor, and I'd love to speak privately regarding this when appropriate. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Any other? Look at everyone, they're all going, this was more popular than our budget time. How do you like that? Huh.
Come back.
Chickens and bees.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, we got one more before we close. Hi.
Hi, my name's Kathy Prestwich. I'm a resident of Murray, 27 years. I just want to go on record. I oppose the ERA, and I hope that you will consider the things that have been said and think about it, because it's important. And thank you for your service.
Thank you. She's going to have you, Kathy, she's going to have you fill out something. Okay, well,
I won't take much time. I just wanted to let you know that I'm a resident of Murray,
and I have been for over 20 years, and I'm in favor of the resolution. I think a lot of the horror stories and the myths about the ERA are as unfounded, and a lot of things have been passed already, and I think it would just be consistent overall and throughout the country, and I hope that you will consider passing it.
Thank you. Tell us your name again. Sorry.
Oh, Claire Turner.
Claire Turner. Thank you, Claire. One more.
Hi, I'm Mike Prestwich, a resident of Murray for 27 years as well, and just kind of curious to see how this process came about. It's been interesting to watch those that have presented on both sides. I'm opposed to this. I don't feel like this represents the attitudes of Murray citizens. This isn't something that when I'm out and about and visiting with my neighbors that this kind of a topic comes up, and so it leaves me to wonder, well, where did this come from? It just kind of seems like it's from left field, and it's not really an item of great interest for Murray citizens. So taking all that into account, I would strongly recommend a vote no for this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any more? Do I dare ask, huh? I think, okay, we'll finish there then. We'll close that part of the citizen comments. And I've asked, and I'll ask again, since we've got all these other things here, and I know everyone wants to talk or wants to be here when we vote on them, but would it be okay? I've asked our chair, Dale Cox, and just want to make sure everyone else is okay if we move it's last on our list, number 4, if I move that up to the first. It'll be okay?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Yes, no, yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I was checking with GL.
Okay. Oh, heck, I already checked. I saw, hey, I saw the nod already. Okay, now let me say something real quick. So we will now consider this business item, and since I'm conducting, I'm going to take the opportunity to go first real quick. And it's interesting because when you're conducting, you get to go last usually, because everyone votes before you. But I want to be able to, sometimes it doesn't feel real when I'm the last person voting and you vote different than everyone else. I want to let you know that I am asking that we table this. And the reason why I'm asking this, and someone said to me, said to us, talking about us earlier, they said, do you ever change your mind? Change your mind during the middle of something? And most of the citizens, we love them and they love us. Well, I don't know if they love us, but they really like us. But they'll say to us, "Oh, you've already made your mind up." All the time, they say that to us all the time. That's not true. That is not true with us here. I've seen it several times. Diane and I've done this several times where we look at discussion items and we have no idea. We might have an idea what we're going to do, and then sometimes we go another direction. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't sleep one lick Saturday night to Sunday, and I went 24 hours almost without sleeping, and I've had a rough time sleeping because of this. It has been hard. I told my wife, who's here today, I says, this used to be fun, being on the council. It still is. It still is, but this has been a really tough thing for me, and the reason why I'm asking to table it is because when I represent my district, which is District 5, I think Janice had said that earlier, I actually listen to what my citizens or the residents of District 5 have asked me to do. And I haven't heard any of them ask me to do this. In fact, on the contrary. And I have come in here before and voted something that I didn't feel maybe like I wanted to go that direction, but because there were so many citizens that wanted me to go that direction, I voted that direction. So I am following that today, where I think it would be wrong for me personally if I voted for this, and I'm looking at several of my constituents. I have so many here today, probably more than anybody here. In fact, not probably, I do have more than anybody here today. And it would be wrong for me to vote for this, because I represent them. When I got elected, I didn't say I will vote for something I want. I will vote for something that you want. And so I'm going to uphold that. I'm going to uphold that today, and I am going to ask that it be tabled. But before I move on, I want to make sure that everyone here understands this new council, they're impressive people. I want you to know that 2 weeks ago, if anybody thinks that this is a man versus women thing, it's not, because Dale was voted in 2 weeks ago as the chair by the majority, which are women here. I voted for him too. I had to because I felt obligated. I'm kidding. Anyway, Dale was voted in by the majority. I was voted in as the RDA chair, which is an important position, by the majority here. So I don't want anybody to think that you've got a new council here and all of a sudden they're going to all go direction of one way, because that is not true, because that did not take place 2 weeks ago. And I want to let each of them know of my appreciation for standing up for what you believe. And I have a lot of respect for these Dale and these women that support this city. They support Murray City, and they are wonderful people. But that's what I would ask, that we table it. And then I've got to read something real quick. Just a minute. Sorry, before we go on. I have to get my glasses. Yes. Okay. So I will. So with that, I need to read the agenda item. Okay. So we're going to move to number 4. We'll consider a resolution in support of ratification by the state of Utah of the Equal Rights Amendment to the United States Constitution. And then I'll turn the time over to Kat, who's presenting. Thank you, Kat.
Just for protocol, if you've moved to table, what do we do from there?
I don't know. This will be yeah, I'd have to have a second. So I'll see if there's a second. If there's no second, then we'll move on.
Is that before or after the resolution's read?
Before, I think before, but Jill, our attorney. Okay.
I think you ought to have the presentation. And
Okay.
then renew your motion at that point.
Kat, will you present, and then we'll do that.
Absolutely. All right. I have an introduction to it before I read the resolution. So, in honor of the holiday we recognized yesterday, I wanted to begin with a quote from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In 1965, he said, "The time is always right to do what is right." And I thought for such a movement with such a long history, that felt right. January 26th, 1920, the same year the 19th Amendment passed, which secured women the right to vote, my grandma Nina was born. 3 years later, in 1923, the Equal Rights Amendment, or the ERA, was introduced to Congress. In the years that followed, much progress was made towards gender equality. Whoever you voted for in the 2016 presidential race, I hope you can join my appreciation for the historic moment my grandma got to witness when a woman was on the ballot for the highest office in the land. She passed before the general, but it meant the world to her that she was, born the year women got the right to vote, and that she got to see a woman on the ballot like that. With all the progress we've made, there's still many reasons that the principles of the ERA are both relevant and needed today. Just some quick facts regarding gender inequality. The Supreme Court has determined that gender is not a protected class like race and ethnicity when it comes to the laws and governmental actions. This means that the 14th Amendment, which addresses citizenship rights and equal protection under the law, does not protect women. Women are half as likely to receive a pension as men because Social Security still defines women as dependents. 56.8% of women over the age of 16 are in the labor force, and yet on average, women are paid less than men for the same jobs. For every dollar that a man makes, a white woman earns 77 cents, a black woman earns 68 cents, and a Latina earns 59 cents. The United States is one of only 7 countries in the world that still hasn't ratified the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, which aims to ensure equal rights for women around the world. We joined South Sudan, Sudan, and Iran with that. A common misconception is that the ERA is all about women, but gender equality is about protecting men's rights as well. When women are compensated fairly for their labor, it benefits their spouse, children, the whole family. Currently, men suffer great discrimination in our nation's family courts. I saw this firsthand with my amazing brother-in-law. This man's the best dad ever. He taught me how to swaddle my babies. When our kids got sick, we called him before our moms. Just an incredible parent. Unfortunately, when he got divorced, we watched him navigate a custody system rigged against him as a man, and it was heartbreaking for him and us and hurtful to his children. There are many myths associated with the ERA that lead to misinformation and confusion. I received a few emails against, and I tried to sum up the top 3 myths that I was hearing. First, an ERA will compel public funding of abortions for Medicaid recipients. Medicaid benefits combine federal and state funds. There are federal minimum benefits of healthcare and services that have to be required. Abortion is not one of them. So the ERA has no mention of abortion in its language, neither explicitly nor implicitly. It's not an abortion law. And with that, I feel personally there's a lot of attacks towards me through all this about Planned Parenthood. I will not deny being a volunteer. I volunteer with a teen mom group for young women who get pregnant and choose to keep their babies. Every Tuesday for 1.5 years, I made them dinner, taught them parenting lessons, helped them apply for college, and got them through high school. So I am in no way ashamed of that volunteer association. I'm very proud of it. But this in no way is tied to abortion or Planned Parenthood. Myth 2, sex-segregated prisons, locker rooms, restrooms, and shelters will be illegal. That is also false. An ERA does not mean that men and women have to be treated identically, and that's where a big confusion comes up. It's not about identical treatment. It's about equal treatment. There are privacy and safety considerations that justify separate prisons, locker rooms, bathrooms, shelters for women, and those considerations are already protected under the Constitution. The ERA enhances, does not reduce those protections. And the third one I wanted to identify is that women will be forced to register for the draft. The reality is that Congress already has the power to draft women. They choose not to, but they could. They're under Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. It gives Congress the authority to raise armies. It does not specify age or gender. And at the present, the United States doesn't draft anyone, male or female, but relies on a voluntary military. But as a mother of a son and 2 daughters, my heart breaks at the thought of my son being drafted as much as my daughters. Women have participated in various capacities in every war the United States has ever battled. They have fought and died in combat. All branches of the military benefit from their service. The ERA will allow women who choose to build a military career to do so without fear of discrimination. It will guarantee women cannot be denied promotions because of their sex. Utah has a strong history in the fight for gender equality. Women in Utah were the first in the nation to vote, and Utah was the first state to elect a woman as a state senator. The fight for gender equality is not new, but that doesn't mean it's outdated or anywhere near finished. I want my son and daughters to have equal opportunities and protections under the law. A resolution here in Murray at the municipal level tells our community we value our fathers here in Murray as much as our mothers, and that we believe in equal work for equal pay. As an employer of many employees from Murray City, I think that's a really powerful message. We're not members of Congress here in this room, nor are we members of the state legislature. I ran for city council because I believe in focusing on local community first, and I believe I am sticking with that with this resolution. Murray has always prided itself in being independent and standing strong in its values. Because of its history of independence and fortitude, I believe it's not only appropriate but necessary for Murray to resolve to its citizens a commitment to gender equality. This resolution tells the state legislature that yes, we urge them to vote to ratify the ERA, but that if they don't, we here in Murray honor its spirit by passing this resolution and telling our citizens that the leaders value them all equally. I hear, but there's a woman majority. We did it. We fixed sexism. When women rise, when any minority rises, we should reach down to lift up others. And that's what I feel this does. 100-year-old movement isn't going to be perfect. I absolutely agree with those that have said that. The ERA doesn't take us across the finish line, but it's a meaningful step in the right direction, and we must keep moving forward. And as we do, we must always keep in mind how the work we're doing helps lift up not only women, but people of color, keeping our LGBTQ neighbors safe and in mind with all pieces of ordinance and legislation, and ensure inclusion of our community members with disability. Sean with the Murray Journal conducted a poll on Facebook. Last time I checked, it had overwhelming support, something like 70%. And the messages I've gotten today, emails, text messages, similarly, it's been a similar number, 70% in favor. And I say that just to say that that we are listening and reading and taking in that information. I would love to set an example here in Murray to profess our values and keep moving forward to a more equal and fair city together. So that's my opening for it. Do I need to read the resolution to move forward? Is that the next step? Okay. I'm going to pull it up on here. All right. Sorry. All right. A resolution in support of ratification by the state of Utah of the Equal Rights Amendment to the United States Constitution. Whereas Article 4, Section 1 of the Utah Constitution, adopted in 1895, states, "The rights of citizens of the state of Utah to vote and hold office shall not be denied or abridged on account of sex. Both male and female citizen," I won't touch it, I apologize. "Citizens of this state shall enjoy equally all civil, political, and religious rights and privileges. And whereas when Utah joined the nation in 1896 as the third state to include women's voting rights in its constitution, Anna Howard Shaw, one of the nation's greatest suffrage leaders, expressed no surprise that the men of Utah had chosen to lead in this way. She said, 'Utah is dear to the heart of every woman who loves liberty in the United States.' And whereas suffragist Alice Paul, in drafting the language of the Equal Rights Amendment, was advised by Utah Senator George Sutherland, who drew upon Article 4, Section 1 of the Utah Constitution. And whereas Utah should tout its history of being a leader in equal political rights. And whereas on February 14th, 1870, Seraph Young, the grandniece of Brigham Young, was the first woman to legally cast a vote in any election in the United States. And whereas in Utah in 1896, Dr. Martha Hughes Cannon became the first woman in the United States ever to be elected as a state senator, and a statue of her will join that of Brigham Young in the National Statuary Hall in Washington, D.C., recognizing Martha Hughes Cannon as a pioneer for women's equality in government. And whereas Utah should tout other important firsts, including Christine M. Burkle, who in 2016 began serving as Utah's first female Brigadier General of the Utah National Guard, and Rosie Rivera, who in 2017 became the first female sheriff in Utah and the second Latina sheriff in the United States. And whereas Utah must reaffirm this historical example of women leadership and highlight the advances of Utah women today, including women presidents of 5 of the 9 institutions of higher education in the state, a woman currently serving as the state superintendent of public instruction, the latest of many women who have served in that role. 24% of current Utah legislators who are women, 7 of whom, 3 House and 4 Senate, 4 of whom are women of color, hold leadership positions. A current majority of women judges, many women mayors, city and county council and commission members, and school board members throughout the state. And whereas Utah has had women lead in all 3 branches of government, including Rebecca D. Lockhart, who served as Speaker of the House of Representatives from 2010 to 2014. Christine M. Durham, who was appointed to the Utah Supreme Court in 1982 and served the distinction for 35 years, including 10 years as Chief Justice. And Olene S. Walker, who served as Lieutenant Governor in Utah 1993 to 2003 and then as Governor 2003 to 2005. And whereas there is reason to celebrate the historic and ongoing accomplishments of women and their role in numerous positions of importance in the state, and to affirm the autonomy and independence of women to pursue opportunities to serve as elected, appointed, and hired leaders in the state, and to recognize our historical roots of women's equal political rights. And whereas Utah's state constitution is a shining example to the nation, that women everywhere shall have equal political rights and enjoy equally all civil, political, and religious rights and privileges. And whereas equality under the law is fundamental value of the United States and the people of Utah, and whereas legislation and court decisions have increased women's access to education, employment, and public service, whereas the same legislation can be repealed and the Supreme Court may strike legislation or retreat from its own precedent, thereby eliminating or abridging legal rights currently enjoyed by women, girls, and their families. Whereas Utah residents value the continued participation of women in education, the military, public service, and other spheres of our society. And whereas the inclusion of the Equal Rights Amendment in the Constitution would require courts to apply the same strict level of scrutiny it applies to test the constitutionality of government action based on race, religion, or national origin. And whereas an overwhelming majority of American citizens reported in a 2015 poll that they support an amendment to the United States Constitution to guarantee equal rights for both men and women. And whereas an overwhelming majority of women citizens report in a 2020 poll that they support an amendment to the United States Constitution to guarantee equal rights for both men and women. And whereas the Equal Rights Amendment was passed in 1972 by Congress, which imposed a 7-year ratification deadline on states, later extended to 10 years. And whereas the Constitution does not expressly authorize Congress to impose ratification deadlines on the states, and moreover, if Congress does have such power, then it also has the power to extend or eliminate its deadlines. Whereas the American Bar Association reaffirmed its support for ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment in 2016, whereas well after the 1982 deadline set by Congress, Nevada in 2017 and Illinois in 2018 ratified the Equal Rights Amendment, bringing the total number of states that have ratified the amendment to 37, just one shy of the 38 needed to satisfy the constitutional requirement that an amendment be ratified by 3/4 of the states to become valid. And whereas the Equal Rights Amendment states, Section 1, equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Section 2, the Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. Section 3, this amendment shall take effect 2 years after the date of ratification. Now therefore be it resolved by the Murray City Municipal Council as follows. It hereby urges the legislature of the state of Utah to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment to the U.S. Constitution as proposed by Congress on March 22nd, 1972 during the 2020 legislative session. So that's the resolution.
Thank you, Kat.
I would like to make a motion to amend, I believe it's the second to the last paragraph, where it states, whereas well after 1982 deadline set by Congress, Nevada in 2017 and Illinois in 2018 ratified the Equal Rights Amendment, bringing the total number of states that have ratified the amendment, I would like to change 37 to 38, just one shy, and then we can exclude, I believe, that next portion, correct?
Thank you. It was written before Virginia.
Right.
So that's a motion you made?
That's a motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and let's bring it back to the council for discussion.
Do we vote to just be talking about the amended version? So we're with the.
Correct.
Is that correct?
We're going to do that first, or no, don't
to
we?
vote the amended version.
Is that correct? What? So we amend on, okay, we'll vote on the amended version and then vote on the, or that
And
would
on
be it,
table,
right?
not.
Yeah, so that would
Just
be
so
it.
we're
let's-
voting on the right version
right.
with the updated
We'll vote
Virginia
on
in there.
the version that was motioned was the amended
This
version.
is the boring vote.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so now we'll still bring it back to the council before we take that vote. That's
was the
okay.
That was the amendment. No,
That's okay.
yes, it would
Yeah,
be
you did.
Virginia as the 38th state.
You could put in there where it says Nevada 2017, Illinois 2018, and Virginia 2020.
Say that again, Jill.
We'll just put Virginia in ratified in 2020.
Yeah, Virginia ratified in 2020.
Okay.
Along with that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bring it back to the council for discussion.
Okay.
Go
I
ahead,
would-
Diane.
Yeah, please.
In 1972, I was at the Salt Palace with my son, who at that time was in a stroller, and we were fighting for the Equal Rights Amendment. It was something at that time that was very important to me, and that hasn't changed. The information I've received from my constituents, I've had 5 correspondents. 2 of them were negative, and 3 were positive. And a few weeks ago, I also received a couple of positive emails where they asked me to vote yes on this resolution. And so as I thought, what can I say? I mean, Kat said so much when she was talking about the proposal, so, I don't really feel like I need to go over that again. And then I received an email, and so I'd like to read that to you.
It says, Dear Councilperson Turner, I recently heard that the Murray City Council was considering officially supporting the Equal Rights Amendment. When I heard this, I was thrilled. Since I was a child, I have dreamed that our country would truly embrace the principles of equality that I was raised to believe our nation held as a core value, and finally ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. I wanted to come speak at tonight's meeting, but I have a community council meeting this evening, followed by another engagement, which I am unable to reschedule. Since I cannot be there tonight, I wanted to write a letter to share my feelings about the Equal Rights Amendment. I am proud that the city that I call home is considering making this move. Utah was the first state to ratify the right to vote for women. It seems fitting that our state be among those to help to finally obtain equal rights for women as well. I think having Murray officially support the move to ratify the amendment makes a wonderful statement. I remember last summer I was talking to my 2 young boys about the Equal Rights Amendment, and they were both shocked and outraged to hear that under the Constitution of our nation, I did not have the same legal protections as they did simply based on my gender. They asked how this was possible. I explained that when I was a child, there was a move in our country to amend the nation's Constitution, but that a lot of misinformation was spread around out of fear and lack of understanding of exactly what the amendment would do to our laws. This misinformation scared people and continues to scare people today, because once an incorrect idea is out there, it is hard to convince people of the truth. I urge you not to allow the fear that is generated by this misinformation to dissuade you from taking this wonderful stance in favor of the Equal Rights Amendment. The ERA does not make separate bathrooms illegal. It does not automatically make women eligible for the military draft. It does not disallow shelters to be separated by gender, and it does not impact divorce law or custodial law in a negative way. The Equal Rights Amendment does make sure that a woman receives fair pay for the work she does. It makes sure that a father does not automatically lose his custodial rights based on his gender. All the Equal Rights Amendment does is guarantee that all members of the United States receive equal treatment under the law, regardless of gender. The Equal Rights Amendment protects both men and women. I sincerely hope that the City Council of Murray will vote in favor of voicing their support for our state to make the historic and long overdue action of ratifying the Equal Rights Amendment. Sincerely, Cynthia L. K. Reese. So that kind of sums it up for me as well. I think it's very important. I thought it was extremely important when I was pushing my son in the stroller in 1970, I think it was 4 actually, and I think it's equally important now. I know it's not perfect, but I think it's really important. So, okay, that's my say.
Thank you, Diane.
Well, thank you all for being here. I know at the new council we wanted to bring you guys out. This is our second meeting. We are definitely a united front here, and you know, I represent a community as well that is not heard, and unfortunately a lot of them aren't here, and I've heard from them directly as well, and they have called me and emailed me and texted me. So I just want to remind everyone here, I hear you. I wrote notes, and I really appreciate you being here. With that being said, I do want to echo Kat's words. You know, we bring a different view to Murray, and it's a view and a voice that hasn't been heard for a long time, and I am a part of that representation as well. And this was very important to me to bring this forward. We do work with our state legislatures as well. I will be working with them throughout the legislative session directly. And it's important. Our state legislators also represent us, and they listen, and I actually wanted to say that I encourage you all to contact your state legislature. And if you don't know who they are, please talk to one of us, and we would be happy to let you know or look them up as well and let them know what your support is on this. But I do want to read the statement from a citizen who couldn't stay here, and I will go ahead and read it. I'm here to express opposition to turning this Murray City Council into a venue for national issues. Murray City Council's responsibilities lie with local issues, including placing and then enforcing appropriate land use and zoning policies, health and safety issues related to police, fire, water, and sewage treatment, the power company, and the power company. Council members were elected to address these issues. If council people are more interested in these state and national issues, I suggest they run for Mark Weekley's seat, Kathleen Reeby's seat, Senator Kathleen Reeby, or Ben McAdams, Mitt Romney, or Mike Lee's congressional or Senate seats. I strongly object to any attempt to bring the national contention to Murray. We have plenty of issues to occupy your attention. This is from Lee Britton. That is one of my constituents here in Murray. I also just want to finish off in saying and a part of that representation is we are also part of a younger generation. And I see this as something that I also have to consider the youth, my kids, and their voice. And this is something that I have heard from them as well. So thank you so much for all being here.
Thank you, Rosalba. Anybody else? I just want to build Dale, you want to say something? I just wanted to say that, Kat, and I don't know anything about your polling, but I just thought it was important because of my statement that I made earlier that it's important that I listen to my constituents. I looked up the polling, and I don't know anything how you do your polling, but it's 107 people, and I don't even know if they're all Murray, so they're probably not. So anyway, I just wanted to make that clear that for me, 100 people on a poll would never make me be able to make that decision. I would have to listen to my constituents, and that's what I've done, and I know that's what each of us have done. But that's why it's important for you to know that I have listened, and it has been tough, because when you hear equal rights, I'm going, duh, who doesn't believe in equal rights? Of course we believe in equal rights. And anyone sitting up here knows how I feel about equal rights. I am absolutely for them. Just for this amendment, a resolution, I listened to my residents, and I felt it would be wrong for me to do anything else but ask it to be tabled. So I don't even know where it goes. It was motioned. I don't even know what happens after it's already been motioned and seconded. Oh, I thought it had been seconded. I thought you did. I don't know. I thought we still had seconded it.
The amended version.
The amended version. Okay. So.
Just for talking about the fresh one.
Okay. Look at Dale.
God, I'm glad I came tonight. I've listened to both sides. I've always been an advocate through my whole career of equal rights. It never mattered to me whether you're a man, a woman, what your race was, what your sexual orientation was. Could you do the job? Could you? And if you did, you should get equal pay. You should get equal protection. This is rough because Brett's right. And this constituent of Rosalba's is right. It's hard to get into national issues and state issues. with that, I have constituents on both sides of the aisle, so no matter what I do, I'm wrong. But I believe in equal rights, and I believe that if we're able to do something to move that needle just a little, wiser people than us can take that needle and move it in the proper direction. There's been a lot of information here, some of it factual, some of it emotional, some of it, has moved me. I've changed my mind 15 times tonight. But the fact, Councilwoman Martinez gave a great presentation and in getting rid of some of the myths about what this means. I applaud her for that. And this really is a hard decision for me. It really isn't a hard decision for me because I believe in equal rights. There's so much emotion around it. There's so much misinformation. There's so much good information. And I understand Brett's circumstance as well. But I think if we move this forward, I think it makes a statement. And it also lets people know that this issue isn't dead. Are there things we don't like about it? Yes. Are there things we don't like about zoning changes? Yes. Are there things we like about it? Yes. It's a very emotional decision. It's a very hard decision, but I think it's the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Anything else before we move on for the vote? Okay, we appreciate I appreciate all that everyone has done.
Are you ready for a motion?
I'm ready.
Okay. I move approval of a resolution in support of ratification by the state of Utah of the Equal Rights Amendment to the United States Constitution as amended. So
don't we have to
already
take care of
did that.
Brett's first? Didn't Brett have a motion?
No one
There was no second for mine.
I will second that.
Diane's.
Sorry, to
Thank you,
Diane's,
yeah,
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, Brett.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to move forward. Jennifer.
Aye.
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 I will abstain. Motion passes. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Okay, this is the longest I think we've ever stayed. Everyone's, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and thanks for your respect. You guys were awesome. Jan, do you need anything?
We
I know.
still have.
Yeah, I know. Jan thinks. I'm
We
just
still have.
trying to thank everyone. I guess you don't want me to thank you, but I'm going to thank you anyway. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you coming.
We're not done.
No, we're not done. We're not done. We still have pardon by me, but this part, if you don't want to stay, you can leave. But we'll take about a 2-minute break, and then we're going to move into our 3 other business items. So
I'm not free to talk right now.
if you don't mind,
Or if you
we
wanna-
appreciate you, but we'll move you on. Thank you.
You're totally fine.
You did great.
Council Cat has a good.
Okay, we're almost ready to start our rest of our business items. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate it. And we're going to, if you don't mind, Melinda, we're going to shut the doors if you don't mind, so we can get this part of the, everyone thought I meant we were through. I didn't mean that. Jan's going, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, I know."
Murray City paper. I didn't even know about that.
Wow. Okay. So we'll go ahead and go on to business. We'll go back up to business item number 1. Is that where I'm at? Make sure everyone that thank you. My
should have
goodness, there's a
asked.
lot of.
We should have asked everybody to stay for the
Yeah,
actual
man,
city issues.
Can you imagine? I thought about that, Rosalba. Okay, so. All right, our first item on, really second item, is to consider resolution approving an interlocal, we've lost our mayor and our council. Maybe I better, I'll probably give him a minute. I look over there and I see Jennifer looking at me and waving, and I thought, something looks really odd over there. You know what? It looks good, to be honest with you. I know. Do we have to wait for JL, Mayor, or do we go? I love it. Your call. I love it. Oh, yeah. See, JL, I said, the mayor said, go ahead and go. And I said, no way. I said, we're waiting for JL. I'm kidding. He didn't say that. I just want to express again, and I'm not tons of you left here, but those watching and everything. Oh, Jan, thank you so much. Is that this is how Murray City is. It's amazing. I mean, everyone was so respectful. It was a tough issue, and everyone was very, very respectful. And it's what we've come to know of Murray. When we've done anything, everyone's been so respectful. So thank you, and we will continue on. Okay, so our second item: consider a resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city and Utah Department of Transportation (UDOT) for Transportation Alternative Program (TAP) funds to install sidewalk along Cedar Street from, wow, we covered a lot tonight. I thought we'd include Cedar City. All right, Cedar Street from 6100 to 6200 South. Danny Astle presenting. Thank you, Danny.
Yeah, I think our sidewalk total just went up about 300 miles.
Yeah, that's right.
So what we have before you is a resolution approving the interlocal agreement between Murray and UDOT to receive these funds into our budget or in the future as we go forward with this plan to create better sidewalks for a school path to Liberty Elementary. So.
Okay,
Any
look
questions?
at that. He already talked to us at committee of the whole about this, so we're tuned in on this. But any questions for Danny?
No, I just want to say thank you for this. I have 3 kids who walk to and from school quite a bit, and those sidewalks are so important for our public safety. So thank you for everything you do to get us funds to help us do that. And I will move, if appropriate, to approve an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city and Utah Department of Transportation for Transportation Alternative Program funds to install sidewalk along Cedar Street from 6100 to 6200 South.
Of course, that ended,
I
didn't
was
it?
going to say his name and then it just ended. Sorry.
I love it.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and second. Jennifer.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, next. Dale, could you seem a little more enthusiastic with your eyes? Okay. Second, consider resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city and Utah Department of Transportation to receive financing from the federal aid highway funds for the roadway project at Vine Street, 1300 East of Van Winkle. Danny Astle.
So again, this is a resolution to enter into an interlocal agreement with UDOT, who administers the federal highway funds. And we have been awarded these funds several years ago, but we're ready to receive those funds to, number one, finish paying for the first section, and then get moving on the second section and start the design and neighborhood engagement.
Okay. Go ahead, Diane.
How much have we been awarded for those?
It totals about little over $9 million total. A lot. Between the two projects, portions of the projects anyway.
Okay, and are they equal? Is it 450 for one and 450 for the other, or how does it break out?
I don't have the specific data on the first section, but we've spent all that. So, and we needed to receive this portion to finish paying for the first section and then move on to the second section. So.
Now, Diane was just showing off her math when she did her 450, 450. I really look at look at her.
I believe it was actually closer to $10 million between the two.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, but this second piece was $4.5 million, and that's what we're going to receive by entering into this agreement.
And we discussed this in the committee of the whole also earlier, so just for others to know.
Yes, again, thank you for the first part. Your department did a great job, and we really appreciate that.
Okay, great.
Okay, if there's any questions for Danny, ask them. If not, we'll ask for a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city and the Utah Department of Transportation to receive financing from the federal aid highway funds for the roadway project at Vine Street, 13th East to Van Winkle.
I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Jennifer.
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Danny. Next, we have consider an ordinance amending section 15.08.030 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to waiving construction-related fees for general fund projects. Melinda, thank you for being here so late.
It feels good to stand, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
So, as you mentioned, this is a request from staff to have Title 15, Section 8.0.030 amended. This is the portion of our city code that states the council, or that the city will charge fees for all commercial and residential development building permits that are issued. We are requesting the council amend that to allow a paragraph that would state that we would waive building permit fees for general fund city projects. So what that would do essentially is keep the city from charging itself building permit fees on items that come forward out of the general fund. We have a number of projects coming up in the next few months that would fit into this category. The pavilions for the park. We have the city hall that will be starting construction on in the next few months. We also have the Murray Theater. So in instances like this, we would just waive the building permit fees, and it essentially saves us from shuffling money from one fund to another. I do want to, someone asked earlier, or wanted me to mention that this does not include impact fees. It's only the building permit fees. We would not waive the requirement for building inspections. We still would conduct all the inspections. We just wouldn't be charging ourselves the fees for doing that. And this also does not apply to any of the enterprise funds, just general fund projects.
Okay, and again, thank you for sharing that with us in the committee of the whole, just like we did earlier. But any questions from Melinda again? And if not, we'll ask for a motion.
I motion that we consider an ordinance amending section 15.08.030 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to waiving construction-related fees for general fund projects.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Melinda. Mayor, what are you doing? It's all yours.
Thank you. Just a couple things tonight. I know it was mentioned in the Chamber of Commerce report and in Jan's announcements earlier, but I just wanted, for a third time's the charm, for the benefit of the public, I wanted to note the Chamber of Commerce partnered with IMC, is hosting the legislative breakfast this Saturday morning, January 25th, over at the Intermountain Medical Center in the Doty Education Center, which is in Building 6. And it's a great opportunity to come. It's only going to be an hour, from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the morning. And it's a great opportunity for the citizens to interact with our Murray legislators. And plus, there'll be a good breakfast there, too. So, also, we've been talking about, for the past year, about our Parks and Recreation Master Plan. It will be shared this week with the public. Finally, we hope to have it posted either Thursday or Friday on our website and on social media. And we want to invite the public to review it and give us any other feedback that they may have. The plan is scheduled to come before you, the City Council, on March 17th for approval. So invite you to look at it as well, obviously, to take a look, because you're going to be approving the finished product. Okay. And finally, the gentleman that spoke earlier, Alex Teasma, I think it was. Are you still here, Alex? Yeah. Oh, okay.
I love it. He's just
I'm so sorry. The issue of overnight rentals has been a topic of discussion very recently, just a few days ago, in fact, with my staff. And we have met with Melinda's department as well as legal, and talked about the concerns that we have with our current ordinance. We're finding that it's not really enforceable. Our prosecutor is not able to prosecute for various reasons, and it really does need to be fixed. So what I've done is I've instructed the Melinda and the CED department to come up with some options to look at, to bring to you as a council, with a range of options, whether it be to go all in and allow them anywhere, or whether it be to restrict them to certain areas, and maybe a couple of options in between. So we will be sending to you a few options here in the near future. They're going to be working on those over the next couple of months. So I just wanted to make you aware of that, since you brought it up again this evening. So.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
All right. Any questions for the mayor? All right. Well, thanks, Mayor, and thanks, GL, for all your help. So we appreciate it. And everyone, thank you, and thank you. We're adjourned.